It's okay, good morning, Buddha. Today we have to start chapter number 5. But in chapter number 4, right, we have done only one example question, right? So after the break, we will focus more past paper questions related to assembly line balancing, right? Because you all need to have the practice with it. So before the break, I will give my maximum effort to complete the content related to this chapter number 5. Content-wise, this is like compared to other chapters, this is less, right? We can manage to complete the content within 1.5 hours, right? We'll see how it goes. Then after the break, anyhow, we'll focus on assembly line balancing past paper questions, right? At least we'll try to do 2 past paper questions related to assembly line balancing. 18A, weekend, not 18A weekend. So we'll try to do 18B weekday, 18B weekday. Since 18B weekend fast paper is not available next week only they have. So we'll focus on 18B weekday and 18A weekday fast paper, right? Okay. So today's chapter is work design and measurement. First, I will clear the practical side of this area. Then we'll move on to see the explanations related to this work design and measurement. First, we'll clarify the practical aspects related to this. Right? I will take an example from the one of the companies, manufacturing companies, and we'll discuss. Then we'll see what is this work design and measurement. As usual, let me start the explanation with an upper manufacturing company. Here, there are 2 things: work design and measurement. In order to design the work, right, organizations need to do the measurement part. That means they have to study and they need to measure the operations or the tasks that they are performing in the organization. Then only they can systematically arrange those tasks. Systematically arrangement of the task, that's the meaning of this work designing. Let me take this apparel manufacturing companies, right? You all have an idea about IE department, industrial engineering department, or the work study department. Probably you all are into some of you all may work in audit firms. Even if you are working for non-audit, then you all are mostly into accounting and finance departments. So, but if we consider this work study or the industrial engineering departments, we cannot find in service sector organizations, right? So this is these departments we can find in manufacturing sector organizations, right? Some organizations use the term called industrial engineering. Some organizations use the term called work study department. But they actually do with it, if we consider the profiles or the qualifications of employees who are working for those departments, they have most of them are having an engineering background with it. Right? They are good at numbers. So you always sometimes you will have seen this. When it comes to the production lines with it, right? The employees from industrial engineering department, they visit production lines or the manufacturing floor, and they randomly select different operations. But if we consider apparel manufacturing companies, imagine they are manufacturing a shirt, right? Always I use this example to make you all understandable. They are manufacturing shirts. So if we consider manufacturing a shirt, it has different operations. It has different, plenty of number of operations of this, right? So from the, First, they need to cut the panel of the shirt, right? It's one operation. Then, if we consider the soil part of the components, individual components, right? There can be like different number of operations for it. Then, if we consider the assembly section, right? Once they like finish the sewing of the component, then they have to send them to assembly section. In the assembly section also, there are like number of operations, number of tasks. The employees from industrial engineering department, what they do, they like visit these manufacturing floors and they select different production lines and randomly they select different operations, different tasks. Anyhow, they have to cover all the operations, all the tasks, but for one time, like they can focus on one operation, so they randomly select one operation or a task of the manufacturing process. And they like, usually they have a stopwatch with it. Right? When it comes to the operators also, they randomly select operators. කෙනෙක් විතරක් නෙමෙයි ඒ වෙලේ කෙනෙක් randomly select කරනවා ආයෙත් දවස් දෙකකින් වෙන කෙනෙක්ව select කරනවා randomly they do. So they have a like kind of a stopwatch. First they like measure the time that operators are taking to finish the operation. මුලින්ම stopwatch එකෙන් බලනවා එක operation එකක් ඉවර කරලා කොච්චර time එකක් යනවද කියන ඒ operation. So like in the first observation, like they are like recording that time. Again, like after a couple of minutes, again like observing the same operation, same operator, and like taking the time. ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් කරනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ සැලකිය යුතු ප්‍රමාණය they do with it. Observations කිහිපයක් කරන එකකින් they are not coming to a conclusion, right? So they are recording the time. Not only that, it's only the time study what they do, like what I have mentioned. By using a stopwatch, they are measuring or they are like not calculating, they are measuring or they are studying the time per operation. Right? Ek operation eකට ගන්න time එක randomly study. So then when it comes to different operators, they are taking different time, right? The operation is same, but if we have 10 number of employees, 10 number of operators, they are like taking different times to finish the same operation, right? So then they are not only that, but they are what they do is they are only studying, they are studying the time. Not only that, but then they like study the movements or the motions of the operator. When it comes to imaging sewing a column, right? So the operator has to take the panel or the fabric panel from one table to his workstation or her workstation. One movement, one motion, right? Then he or she has to like keep it, she has to handle the sewing machine. And different movements with it. So if we consider one operation, there can be sometimes 50 motions, 50 movements. Right? They are studying these things with it. කොහොමද ගන්නෙ panel එක කොයි පැත්තෙන්ද ගන්නෙ කොහොමද handle කරන්නේ අපේ මොනවාද ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන්නේ like even with it, they are trying to capture micro motions of the operators. Like sometimes if we consider like those operations, if you are not critically studying those operations with it, we cannot find some motions. But they are trying to capture every single motion. Sometimes they capture micro motions also, right? So in the work measurement or the work study, they focus on all these two types of it. They like focus on the time study, plus they focus on the work study. In the work study, what they do with it, they like critically analyze the way of handling the operation, movements, what do you call these motions? Motions can movements with it, right? So they critically study all these things. The reason is with it, like when we are like studying something, we need to understand the rationality behind that. So organizations, especially operations management scope, it gives higher attention to this work design and measurement, right? But in the manufacturing plants also, with the manufacturing organizations, they pay higher salaries for these industrial engineers or the employees who are working for the work study because it's a kind of a critical aspect of the organization. Why? Previously also I have mentioned with like when we are trying to understand, okay, what is the strategic importance of this work design and measurement? always try to link your answer with those 4 areas: cost, quality, flexibility, and the speed, right? Because the link is, like here what I'm trying to say is, I'm trying to highlight the importance of this work design, not just important, strategic importance of this work design and measurement. Then in order to consider something as a strategically important thing, right? Then through that within the organization to achieve competitive advantages. In order to consider something as a strategically important thing, right? Make a strategically මානවිකයට වටිනවා කියනවා නම් එතන process එකේ අගට හොයාගෙන යද්දී it supports the organization to achieve competitive advantages. That means within that particular strategy or then that particular operation, that particular subject discipline supports the organization to perform over the competitors, and it supports the organization to maximize the profit. So here also it happens with it. Like if we consider this work designing and measurement, right? What they do is simply, it's a very complex process with it. But if we analyze it in a kind of a surface level, what we can see is in work design and measurement, they study the time of the operations, then they study the motions and the movements of the operations, and they're like suggesting most effective ways of doing the operations. Hamma motion ekama study kala, they are trying to like, sometimes they tell, okay, you are like engaging with these number of motions, these types of movements, so you don't need to engage with this movement. If you can avoid this motion or the movement, we can save 2 seconds from the operation. That operation එකට සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම යන්නේ 1 minute. එක unit එකකට අදාළ එයා කරන operation එකට අදාළ it takes only 1 minute. Right? So imagine whether if an operator can save 2 seconds, it's like, if we consider 2 seconds, it's not a kind of a significant value, but like if we consider the production company, per unit, per operation, 2 seconds saving in the sense, it's a massive saving. It's a company, right? It's a massive saving. So then they tell, okay, just avoid this motion, try to directly move your hand from this position to this. These are just hypothetical explanations, right? So then through that, they can save the time. Saving time in the sense, right? If they can save the time for operation, that means that it directly hits on this so-called cost efficiency, right? As well as because sometimes, like ergonomic wise, you know the meaning of ergonomic, because they can apihari postures. So we have to maintain appropriate distance, right? For an example, when we are like handling a sewing machine, then for the ergonomics definitely matters. So we need to maintain the maintain the appropriate distance. If we are not maintaining the proper distance with it, then it creates different issues. Like health issues. Right? Employees take health issues and you all know there's something called carpal tunnel syndrome, right? Where mouse handle like, so there are certain problems with it. So like then if the employees also feel that they are safe and they are like engaging with effective operations. They're engaging with operations in an effective way, but they also becoming satisfied, and their productivity also like getting like automatically or gradually it's increasing, right? Then it creates impact on the quality also. Economic wise, company operations maintain employees like health, physical health, safe feeling. It's a kind of a combined process with it. So then they are becoming satisfied, and they are like productivity also increasing. Then it affects on the overall quality of the production asset. Right? Those are like only 2 things. Right? Not only that, with it, if they can properly engage with this work design and measurement, they can like enhance the flexibility of the operations, as well as they can enhance the definitely speed of the operations. So they can increase the speed of the production, right? So if in the examination, if I'm asking you to explain the strategic importance of work designing and measurement, then you all should be able to link your answer with those four. Just simply explain what is work design and measurement. It's about time study, motion study, movement study. Basically, they study the processes, operations, right? And they're suggesting most effective ways of doing those operations, right? So then you are like briefly explaining the meaning of work designing and measurement. Then you link your answer to those four areas, because how this work designing and measurement creates favorable or the positive impacts on quality, cost, flexibility, and the speed. And like at the end of the answer, explain if they can save the cost, if they can enhance the quality, if they can improve the flexibility, right? If they can improve the speed of delivery of their production processes. So it enhances or like it increase, how could I say, like it supports the organization to achieve competitive advantages. That means it supports the organization to perform over the competitors. Through that, organizations can maximize profit, right? So that kind of answer you all have to provide for such a question, right? Then take 1 minute and read this. Now I have cleared the background. So read and see the key aspects of the work design. Just take 1 minute and read. Simply work designing in the sense systematic arrangement of tasks, responsibilities, and work processes to achieve organizational goals productively. After systematically arranging these things for the right again, how would I say? In order to systematically arrange these tasks, operations, or the production processes, definitely they need to measure the operations. Or they need to study the operations. In order to effectively design operations, right? They have to study the operations. They have to measure the operations. Right? All these things, I mean, like division of labor, right? Then job specialization, job enlargement, job enrichment, this humanistic side also coming under this job designing, right? Job rotation, job enrichment, job enlargement, division of labor, job specialization. Those things also coming under job designing, but it's not from the technical perspective. That is from the humanistic perspective. Right? Yes. Motion in the sense movements. So if you read this also, like it highlights the benefits of this work design. Definitely, if they can effectively design the operations of the tasks or the work, they can achieve higher level of productivity. As I explained, they can improve the quality, they can satisfy and they can enhance the retention rate of the employees because the employees feel they're safe and their physical and the mental health also like gradually improving. Yes, it helps to maintain flexibility and adaptability. Most important part is this effective work designing positively contribute to cost efficiency. Right? Because operations it's like directly creates impact on the cost efficiency. Right? Okay. Here, like it's not explained, it includes some strategies for this effective work designing. We are going to learn this lean manufacturing principles, even Six Sigma, in upcoming chapters. So we'll discuss them in detail when it comes to those chapters, right? Basically, lean in the sense, but some of you all may heard this previously. Lean in the sense, ma'am. It's a kind of a production system that organizations use to reduce the waste of the organization, right? So when they are arranging the operations, when they are systematically designing the tasks of the manufacturing processes, they try to reduce those 8 types of waste, right? So that's something Colombo processing, then waiting time, right? So waste type අඩු කරගන්න එක තමයි බලන්නේ when they are like designing the operations. We'll learn these things upcoming chapters with the Six Sigma in the sense it's like mainly focusing on the defects. Operations plan they try to reduce the defects. Right? We will discuss these things later. These things you can understand, job rotation, cross-training, automation and technology. If an organization implements a fully automated production line, that is also an outcome of this work designing for them. Work designing team, work study team, suggest like if we are going, like currently we are doing all these operations through manual production lines. Imagine in that particular manufacturing plant, they have 8 production lines, right? So the employees, the responsible individuals for this work study, they have studied that if they can go with the fully automated production line from one production unit, they can save 2 minutes, right? So think if they are manufacturing 10,000 number of units per day, at least imagine for them from one production line, they produce average 3,000, 2,500 units. If that average, imagine it's 1,000 units. So 2 minutes into 1,000 units, that means 2,000 minutes. They can save 2,000 minutes, right? So after doing a thorough study, right, they suggest to go with this fully automated production line. This is also one part of the works design. It's also good. I have explained this. This is the technical approach or the mechanistic approach. This is the humanistic approach. Eventually, like when we are learning something related to work designing, you should know these things that I have included. Take 1 minute and go through. Work study, industrial engineering actions are coming under mechanistic approach. It's a technically developed. So there are lots of calculations, right? So in that case, those things are coming under mechanistic approach since those are technical. But if you consider this job enrichment, job enlargement, right? Even job rotation, right? We can consider under motivational or the humanistic approach. What is the difference between job enrichment and the job enlargement? We all have learned this in HRM subject. There's a difference with it. So the operations management, you don't need to understand the difference. Even I don't think this side even in the examination also. This is a general question. Enrichment, enlargement, that is the most beneficial one for the employees. Enrichment or the enlargement? Enrichment or the enlargement? For the employees, but then it's in job enrichment. Right? Because in job enlargement, what they do is they just like expand their job scope. Right? In most of the cases, they don't like give the authority. They just expand. They give more tasks from one hand, but like at least employees can get the exposure, they can like get the experience and they can learn. Like at least there's something. Job enrichment in the sense, while they're like expanding the job scope of the employees, same time with it, they're giving the authority for the employees as well. Authority එක දෙනවා enrichment එකේ. ඒතකොට employee flexibility එක තියෙනවා, යාට autonomy එක තියෙනවා, හිතලා දේවල් කරන්න. Right? Okay. Read this. After this, I have to give you small notes regarding this work study method. This is the usual process that we use to analyze the method. Very easy to understand. Go through and see what are the steps that we follow in work method analysis or the methods analysis. First, we randomly, as I previously explained, first we randomly select the operation or the task. Right? We are doing this method when we are doing a method analysis. Imagine we are doing the method analysis for the button attachment operation. Right? We are doing the method analysis, the way of doing the operation for the operation called button attachment operation. Shirt එකට button attach කරන එක කෙනෙක් අරක blouse එකට button attach කරනවා කියලා. It's one operation. So then if they are doing the analysis for this button attachment operation, what they do is they like first clearly identify the elements related to the operation. Okay. So this is the operation. These are the elements of this operation. Operation elements. Sometimes one operation can have 20 elements. Right? Then same time they randomly select 1, 2, 3 employees of the operators. And they use different number of observations. Conclusion operation elements they have to critically analyze and identify the elements. Then they randomly select operators and they engage with different number of observations. Randomly operators, they have selected 8 operators. Right? They are not doing this work study for one time. They proceed with sometimes 10 observation, 20 observation. බලනවා එක conditions යටතේ එක observations කරලා බලනවා මේ time එක change වෙනවා operators ලාගේ. So it's a complex process with it, right? So they select operation, then record the current method plus in most of the cases they record the current time for operation as well. Then examine and analyze it. So they critically analyzing the current motions, movements, processes, everything. Then they try to figure out non-value adding motions, non-value adding tasks. Then they develop new methods. Non-value adding tasks time save time focus. They try to develop a new SOP, standard operation procedures. Right? Then implement the new method. And again, right? This is never ending process with it. Even though they have suggested implemented new method, again and again they have to run it. Right? In the examination, they can be tested this process. Right? In that case, it's better since you are going to write down the same 6 points, just write down the slide number and put a remark for the examination can be tested. This process can be tested. Slide number is 9. Method analysis process. Okay. Right, okay. But these are the common or the kind of the mostly used methods or the different techniques, right, to do this work method analysis or the method analysis. So that's the distributed. You can see time and motion studies. One technique, one way of doing this method analysis. Then work sampling, value stream mapping. In that way, like there are certain techniques, all these techniques the organization used to analyze their operations, their methods. What I can do over there, I will select few of these techniques and I will give you a note. For the time being, write down the title of the site techniques used in method analysis. In the examination process, probably I will test at least 4 or 3 of these techniques. Right? Good luck. So if you like go through the past paper today, you will realize I have tested this technique. If you move on to this method, I will give you the explanation for time and motion study, then I will show you an example. Children, first one, time and motion study. First one, time and motion study. First technique, time and motion study. The simple meaning, don't write down. The simple meaning of this is here we study time and movements. Motion in the sense movement. Right? So I will give you 2 points. You can write down these 2 points and bullet points with the first point. Analyzing. Point was here. Analyzing the time required and the movements involved in performing tasks. Second point, identifying the most efficient ways to identify the most efficient ways to perform operations and eliminate unnecessary movements. Then we'll select flow charting means something familiar unit. Write down flow charting. Flow charting or the process chart. The last point put it. I will give you like notes only for 4 or 5 techniques. This one. Flow charting or the process charts. Second thing. Write down. Creating visual diagrams. First point. Creating visual diagrams that map out again I will repeat. Creating visual diagrams that map out each step in the process. Each step in the process. Second point for flow charting. Identifying limiting factors and opportunities for process simplification. Process simplification. So when it comes to flowchart, we can see the step-by-step process. So when we are typically analyzing the flowcharts of processes, then we can find what are the limiting factors, what are the process limit karanga, what are the bottlenecks, plus they can identify the improvement areas where they can further improve, right? Then you all should know about standard operation procedure. If that gets to write down standard operating procedure. Standard operating procedures. Within brackets right now, capital S, capital O, capital P, SOPs. Like when it comes to the industry, they use this short form that is SOPs. Standard operating procedures. First point, documenting best practices and standardized steps for performing operations. I repeat, documenting best practices and standardized steps for performing operations. You all have any idea about this SOPs? SOPs created by, then approved by, right? So there are SOPs for it. Even for the service sector organization, for the operations, they can create these SOPs. Why they are creating SOPs? When there's a SOP, it makes sure the standardization of the operations. Have more follow process steps. Internal controls are in an especially if we consider service sector for that. So we pay more attention for the internal controls. In the SOP, we can find even the internal controls also. Right? Step by step, operation එක කරන්න මේ හැම step එකක්ම follow කරන්න ඕනේ. Bypass කරන්න බෑ. Right? Process violation cannot be happen. The purpose of creating SOP is, like from the SOPs, they expect the standardization of the operations. Because with as SOP, all the operators or all the employees have to follow that SOP. A document taking the steps we can follow. Right? So so then it like make sure the standardization, right? Then we'll go with I will give note one other maximum of 2. We'll go with ergonomics. Ergonomics. First point. Designing tasks. Designing tasks. And workspaces. And workspaces to fit the physical capabilities of operations. I repeat, designing tasks and workspaces to fit the physical capabilities of employees. Actually, what we do in this economics, we like assess the physical capabilities of the employees, and then only we are assigning the jobs for them. Right? So we are matching. Then, මොකද හැම job එකක්ම හැම employee කරන්න බෑ. Right? We have to like first assess the physical as well as the non-physical only. Like here, it's like mere focus on the physical side. Even mental capabilities also. Then only like we can assign the operations or the jobs. Otherwise, what will happen to them? We cannot expect the higher level of productivity from them. If we are giving an operation which is not appropriate, like for the employee wise, like if we consider the employee side, it's not a kind of operation that he or she can effectively do. Capability job match. So then sometimes, like according to the standards, we have to finish the operation within 5 minutes. But if we are not assigning those operations for the appropriate employees, relevant employees, then there can be some employees to finish that operation, they take average 10 minutes. Right? Because economics here, right? Then the second point for the economics, reducing physical strain, STRAIN. Reducing physical strain. Reducing physical strain, STRAIN, strain. And the risk of injury, enhancing comfort, enhancing comfort, comfortability, enhancing comfort, and overall productivity. Let me give the note for the final one for there. Value stream mapping. Value stream mapping. Value stream mapping. The third one. Point. Visualizing the steps. Visualizing the steps. Flow charting visualizing the steps needed to deliver a product from start to finish. Visualizing the steps needed to deliver a product from start to finish. Then second point, identifying value added and non-value added. Value added and non-value added activities. Focus on improvement. Focus on improvement. The difference between flow charting and this value stream mapping is, if we consider the flow charting, we don't like specifically figure out what are the value adding activities or non-value adding activities. We focus on the bottlenecks. One of the process limit the factors. As well as we like try to figure out the improvement areas where we can further improve the process. But in value stream mapping, the term also with the value stream. So in value stream mapping, what we do, we try to figure out what are the value adding activities and what are the non-value adding activities. If there are non-value adding activities, so then we have to like take necessary actions to remove those non-value adding activities. Right? Okay. So we'll take few minutes and finish the content, but there are only few areas to be covered, then we can move on to the calculations, right? I will give you the break, then we can move on to the calculations. Let me show you an example for this time study. Take 1 minute and read this. This is kind of a very, very practical example. This is how actually we do this time study of tasks. Elements in the sense that like here they have here what is said, a process at an electric stamp and assembly has been changed. The process is divided into 3 work elements. If we consider the assembling of this stand fan, right? It has 3 elements. Assembly process stand fan, it has 3 elements, 3 steps of the 3 main operations, 3 elements. Then But it says a time study has been performed with the following results. The time standard for the process previously was 14.5 minutes. In order to assemble one electric stand fan, previously it took 14.5 minutes. Based on the new time study, should the time standard be revised? That is the question. So in the solution, what we can see is the new study had an initial sample of 3 observations. Right? Not only one observation. In order to take an average with it, at least they need to go with few observations. They cannot do a time study based on one observation. They can, but it won't give the effective outcomes, right? In order to take an overall picture and in order to come up with an effective solution, they need to go with much as possible observations. People set up observe the operation here. The new study had an initial sample of 3 observations with the results shown in the following table. The performance rating factor is shown for each element to adjust for normal effort, and the allowances for the whole process is 50% of the total normal time. Adjust කරයි. පොඩ්ඩක් හිතෙන්නට වෙන්න පුළුවන් percentage එකක් දීලා දෙනවා, that is 15%. In the first observation, for the element 1, it took 2.6. Then in observation 2, it's 2.34. That's why they're giving a kind of a allowance. Then in observation 3, it's 3.12, right? So then in the average time, what they do, in order to take the average time for the first element, right, what they do is they take the total of these 3 observations and they divide by 3. Then the average time for the first element of the whole process is 2.686. ඒක තමයි first element එක. මේ මුළු operation එකේම first element එක complete කරන්න average it takes 2.686 minutes. Right? Then the rating factor is 1. මේව පුතේ technical එක rating factor. ඒවා අපිට calculate කරන්න බෑ. ඒවා ගොඩාක් studies කරලා those are predetermined factors. 1.0. In order to take normal time, what we do, we multiply average time from the rating factor. After normal time, elements we'll first calculate the average time per element and then we multiply it by the rating factor. Rating factors calculate they are predetermined factors, right? So then since the rating factor is 1.0, the normal time also 2.686. Average time is normal time. Then element 3, the next part of the process, assembling an electric stand fan, the second element. Operation. In the first observation for the element 2, in observation 1, it was like 4.94. In observation 2, 4.78. In observation 3, 5.10. So here also same thing, we need to take the average time. So the average time is 4.940. The average time again. Then we multiply it by the rating factor to take the normal time. So here the rating factor for the element 2 is 1.1. Once we multiply average time 4.940 by 1.1, the normal time is 5.434. Right? Then for the last element of the assembling a stand fan, in the observation 1, it's 2.18. Observation 2, 1.98. And the element element. Then observation 3, 2.13. So the average time is 2.096. So the rating factor relevant to element 3 is 0.9. Then once we multiply by 2.096 by 0.9, then the normal time for the element 3 becomes, or the normal time for the element 3 is 1.886. It must have a total operation fan assemble කරන්න මේ element 3ම තියෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒතකොට element 3 total එක ගන්නවා. Then the total is 10.006 minutes, right? Then with the here also we have to consider, once we get the total time of these 3 elements, then we have to multiply it again by the allowance. Allowance is the 15%. Then after total make 10.006. Then we multiply it by this allowance. Then we don't consider the rating factor at the final answer. What we do is we take the total time of these three elements. That is the normal time for the whole process. Assembling a stand fan. Right. So here, as to assemble a stand fan, it takes 10.006 minutes. Then we multiply it by this allowance with it. ඒ කියන්නේ time එකේ හෙට මෙහෙට වෙන්න පුළුවන් විනාඩි 15ක් අඩු වෙන්න පුළුවන් විනාඩි 15ක් අඩු වැඩි වෙන්න පුළුවන්. That's allowance. So in that case, like we consider the maximum. So we multiply it by multiply it by 0.15, then we add it to the final answer. So if you multiply 10.006 by 15%, you will get an answer. Then you have to add it to this 10.006. Then the total time to assemble this stand fan, it's not the estimate with the stand fan, is 11.507. You don't need to calculate any of these things in the examination. This is for your information on, right? This is how we practically do a time study. So you can see according to the new method, right? They can finish. This is the standard time. This is the standard time after considering the allowance time, right? Also, the answer is 11.507. This is a standard time. This is the standard time. So previously it was 14.5 minutes with the new time study, right? So they can finish this. They have suggested. Let me explain this also with it. There should be a reason of doing these time studies, right? It's not just sufficient to record the time per operation, right? So what they do is, imagine they just take a piece of paper and then they calculate the average time per operations and they just record it. No point of studying the time. So after studying the time, they have to find out, they have to capture the improvements for their improvement areas where they can further improve the processes. Motions engage right? They try to reduce those movements, motions, and they try to enhance the efficiency of the processes. The time study time study simultaneously they have to do motion studies, right? They have to do value stream mapping, they have to do flow charting, and they have to find out, okay, if we consider this element number 2, so we can reduce this motion. So we can reduce this motion, we can eliminate this motion. From that, we can save 30 seconds from the element number 3. Right? So after doing all those things, after initially it was 14.5 minutes, then they have imagine they have proceeded with different motion studies, value stream mapping, and the flow charting, and they have suggested some new ways to engage with these 3 elements. So after those new suggestions, now they can complete these 3 elements with the average time of these times. For the element 1 2.686. For the element 2 is 5.434. For the element 3 now is 1.886. So it's an improvement for the whole process. So now finally this whole process, right, assembling a stand fan, right, they can finish within 11.507. Then it's 11.507. That means the operation has been improved. Right? So these are practical happening. Very critical. Right? Imagine here They are saving average of 3 minutes, right? Average of 3 minutes. From assembling one stand fan, they are saving average of 3 minutes. Again, the same thing with it. If they are like assembling 1,000 fans per day, right? See the saving. See the positive impact on the overall cost efficiency. This work study and the measurement and the work designing are so critical in the organizations, right? Okay. Then I will take you to the last part of the chapter. I will give you the note for these 4 types of motion studies. First, try to get familiar with these terms, because these are, I know, like not familiar to you, right? There's something called turbrics with it. Turbrics can movements I will explain. Then micro motion study. Then there's another one called cycle graph and the chronocycle graph. And finally, there's something called simultaneous motion cycle charts. So I will give you very small notes for these 4 also. After that, then I have included an example for process chart or a flow chart. I have explained what is flow chart in it. Then this is the final slide. Read this, then I will give you the note. Then I will give you a break. After the break, we will focus on the calculations. These are the benefits of work measurement. I don't check them in the examination. These are for your information. Yes. Write down a subtopic with it. Techniques used in motion study. Techniques used in motion studies. Techniques used in motion studies. The side of the otherwise you all will confuse with the spelling. First one, write down turbics. First one, turbics. Directly write down the straightest. Turbics. Turbics are set of 18, one day, set of 18 elemental motions. Elemental motions. Elemental motions used to analyze so the data next Surveys are a set of 18 elemental motions used to analyze the movements. Used to analyze the movements. Used to analyze the movements involved in manual tasks. Right? Don't write down today. Examples for these elemental motions are, imagine that when you are reaching, reach also one elemental motion, right? Reaching. Then releasing, right? So once we finish the garment, when we are like releasing into the next operation, I think release the next. Release the but like when we are like sending it to the next workstation, releasing, that is also another motion, the elemental motion. Releasing, even touching, then breathing, right? Those are elemental motions. Okay. Then right on to the micro motion study. Micro motion study. This involves detailed time lapse. Detailed time lapse. Time for the time lapse. Or high-speed video recordings. High-speed video recordings to capture and analyze the fine movements. Fine, fine movements involved in performing a task. Continue with it. This technique provides an examination of each small motion. Identifying inefficiencies. Then cycle graph and chronocycle graph. Cycle graph. What are they? You can first write down cycle graph. Then I will give you the note for cycle graph. Then we move on to chronocycle graph. Two things. Connected, but two things. This is for the cycle graphs. How did you write? Together or separately? Separately. Then write down cycle graph. This technique uses light traces to visualize the path of movements helping to understand the pattern and efficiency of movements over time. Efficiency of movements over time. Then for the chronocycle graph, write down, this is for the chronocycle graph. This technique uses images of a series of dots of a series of dots or dashes to indicate the timing of movements, providing insights into the speed and timing of motions. Speed and timing of motions. Final one, Simon chart. In Lanka, we can write down to the simultaneous motion cycle chart. This chart is a detailed graphical representation of the simultaneous motions. Simultaneous in the sense for the motion that we are parallelly doing. Right? එක අතකින් ගන්න ගමන් අනිත් අතින් ඒක machine එකට දානවා වෙනවා. Motion that we are parallelly doing. Simultaneous motions in the sense different movements that we are parallelly doing. It's not only about the hands for the even legs, right, neck, everything. Okay. Simultaneous motions of different parts of the body parts of the body. Put a full stop. It helps to analyze how multiple actions are coordinated. Right, okay with it. So with this, we'll go for the breaks. After the break, we'll start to do the calculations related to action life activity. So we'll start with 18A, each A, paper. First, we find the relevant question, I mean, question number which is related to assembly line balancing. Question number 1, question number 2. Question 1, subsection number 2. What kind of education First, refer your note. Like you all have the note. We have done an example question related to assembly line balancing. First, refer the note and try to understand the steps. Then try to do 18A weekday past paper question from yourself. Then I will support. But first, you need to attempt on this. I'll give you 10 minutes, try to do the calculations. Because you need to draw the precedence diagram, then you need to calculate the cycle time, theoretical minimum number of workstations, then finally you need to assign the task for the workstations. Then you will have a note. That's it. If you don't have a note with it, you don't know the steps. You don't know the coding. It's better like a smile and no. This goes on the step. You have to do it. Check whether you all have flown the precedence diagram correctly or not. If you want to clarify anything, ask from me. Cycle time should be equal to 8 minutes. Theoretical minimum number of workstations should be equal to 5. Right? Teach you how to assign these tasks to them. Here, now according to the formula, theoretical minimum number of workstations, it gives us the answer as 5. It's a theoretical, it's based on a formula, right? So now, like, we have to practically assign them next. So when we are practically assigning them today, so that can be like more workstations. I mean, like, in order to assign all the tasks, we have to go for like more workstations, right? Let's see. So first, it says we need to assign the tasks among workstations based on the largest number of following tasks. It is following tasks. How much tasks pick them? Adalava following tasks pick them. Right? Following tasks in the sense the tasks which are starting after the main order, like particular task. If we consider A here, right? So in order to calculate the number of following tasks, we need to consider all these things with it. After A, we have to start B. It's not only B, right? Directly, like when it comes to C, directly we start once B finished. But without finishing A, we cannot start C also. Right? Dependent. So then E, C, D, H. Those 4 are following tasks of A. If we consider B, C, G, H are following tasks, that means B has 3 following tasks. Then if we consider C, it has only G and H, so C has only 2 following tasks. Then D, 1, 2, 3, 4. D also has 4 following tasks as A. Then if we consider E, same as we put there, it has 1, 2, 3. That means it has 3 following tasks. Then F has G and H as the following task, so it has 2 tasks. G has only 1 task, following task with it, because H only like we are starting only H after G. G has only 1 following task. And net, it doesn't have any following task. It's none. Right? Let me draw the table and we'll practically assign these tasks. Right? Pay attention to this. So here what I have done, first we need to rank the tasks according to the largest number of following tasks. Right? Without ranking them, we cannot assign the task among the workstation because in the question itself clearly mentioning we need to follow the rule of largest number of following tasks. So according to the following tasks, we need to rank these tasks. If we consider A has 4 following tasks, right? Then B has 3, C has 2, D has again 4, E has 3, F has 2, G has 1. It means H is the last task. It has none, right? Then according to this value, right? Make a minutes make the number of following tasks. Task gone counting, right? make count එක මත we have to rank the tasks. So then if we consider this list, we can see the highest number is 4. Haven't like for 2 tasks, A and B. Right? So then we like actually these are at the same level, right? But in not like we need to put the time for each, like per task. So in that case, we write down A first, then B. Actually, these two are in the same level. Right? Then we can find number 3 as the highest number. We can find B and E. They both have 3 number of following tasks. Right? So B and E also again in the same level. B and E in the same level. Right? Then we can see the next largest number, the highest number is 2. C and F. Right? So here, these two also in the same level. We can decide whether we are going to first assign C or F. We have to like think whether the previous task related to the considering task is finished or not. We have to consider it as well. Right? Then we can assign G. Then finally we can assign H. Right? This is the ordering. Right? Now, theoretically, we have to assign these tasks among 5 workstations. We'll see whether we can assign these all tasks among 5 workstations or whether we need to go for another workstation. Right? We start with workstation 1. Right? So we have to start with A. Okay. So first we assign A for the workstation 1. Right? Even we can start with D also. D right? So A and for the workstation 1 we have 8 minutes. That is the cycle time. Then we deduct the time related to task A, that is 4 minutes. Task A to විනාඩි 4ක් යනවා ඉවර කරන්න. So in the workstation 1, we can, like 4 minutes remaining. Workstation 1 එකට A assign කරාට පස්සේ A යන විනාඩි 4යි විනාඩි 8ක් තියෙනවා. අතින් විනාඩි 4ක් ගියාට පස්සේ අපිට තව විනාඩි 4ක් ඉතුරුයි. Right? 4 minutes remaining. Then according to the rule, we have to assign D. Right? So then here, yes, we are like checking the remaining minute. It's 4, right? We can directly assign task D after A. Workstation 1 එකේ මේ දෙකම ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද D ට යන්නේ විනාඩි 4යි, right? එතකොට මේ workstation එකේ idle time is 0. Fully utilized. Then we are coming to workstation 2. According to the schedule, right, we have to assign task B. Here we assign task B. For the workstation 2 also we have 8 minutes. For the task B, we need to allocate 6 minutes. So then in workstation number 2, remaining minute will be equal to 2 minutes. B assign කරන්න පස්සේ workstation 2 එක ඇතුලේ විනාඩි 2ක් ඉතුරු වෙනවා. 2 minutes remaining. Then for that, we are like going to the schedule again. According to the schedule, we have to assign task E. Right? In workstation 2, but only 2 minutes remaining. So we cannot assign task E after B. Definitely, we need to shift it to another workstation. Right? Okay. So A done, B done, E. Then we have to assign C. For the C, for that we need to allocate 2 minutes. So then we don't need to go for a new workstation for task C. Since it's only 2 minutes, we can assign C after B. Okay, එතකොට පුතේ C අනිවාර්යෙන් පටන් ගන්නත් පුළුවන්. C ට කලින් තියෙන්නේ B. මේ වෙනකොට B ඉවර වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට කලින් task එකක් ඉවර නිසා in the workstation number 2 we can assign C. So here also idle time is 0. Right, in C also assign. Then we have to assign task F. Here for the workstation number 3 we have only 2 minutes. We cannot assign task F under workstation number 3. Look at the workstation number 3 is in විනාඩි 2. In order to complete task F, we need to have 6 minutes, right? So then we need to assign task F in a new workstation. So then 2 minutes remaining even in the workstation 4. Then according to the rule and the table, we have to assign task G. In order to complete task G, again we need to have 4 minutes. Even in workstation number 3, 4, we have only 2 minutes. We cannot assign G. විනාඩි 4ක් යන නිසා. දෙකේම විනාඩි 2 ඉතුරු වෙලා තියෙනවා. Right, back down. So we are like going to assign it for another totally new workstation. Right? This workstation also has 8 minutes. හැම workstation එකකට විනාඩි 8ක් තියෙන එක unit එකකට. So then we reduce the time of the task, that is 4. And in workstation 5, we have 4 minutes remaining. Right? Finally, we have to assign task H. That is the final task. According to the table also, we have to assign task H. The thing is that even though in workstation 4, we have 4 minutes remaining, we cannot assign task H for the workstation 5. The reason is, to complete task H, we need to have 8 minutes. එතකොට මේ workstation 5 තියෙන්නේ විනාඩි 4ක් විතරයි ඉතුරු වෙලා. ඒතකොට ඒකට assign කරන්න බෑ. task H එක ඉවර කරන්න විනාඩි 8ක් ඕන. So then we have to assign it into a new workstation. So the workstation, in the workstation 6, idle time is 0. So then you need to take the total idle time and you can calculate the efficiency rate as well. Total idle time would be like, total idle time is equal to 2 plus 2 plus 4. Total idle time is equal to 8 minutes. So efficiency rate for the formula is equal to sum of task time, right? That is 14. We have to divide it by idle time multiplied by the workstation. මම efficiency rate formula එකක් දීලා තියෙන පුතේ. අපි sum of task එක බෙදනවා idle time එක වැඩි කිරීම workstation ගානේ. එතකොට මේ ගානේ විදියට 40 බෙදීම 48. 40 කියන්නේ task time වල එකතුව. 48 in the sense with the 8 into 6. 8 is the idle time, 6 is the workstations. Number of workstations. So the total idle time is 8. Right, okay. So with this, we'll wind up the session for today. Next week, we'll do the same thing. First, we'll cover the content related to chapter number 6, and then we'll do 17C weekday past paper after the break. Then you all get the practice now. Because definitely there will be a assembly line question in the examination paper. It's okay.